The first dance, the red revenge dress, and I think that kind of like said it all, right? I'm here to make a statement. Blackpool is the most prestigious dance competition in the world.
I think that's something most people don't realize is you guys have to get all these songs cleared for live TV.
Dwight spins Daniela by one leg, and then he picks her up by the same leg, right? So like,
Did you do that to her?
it's a reality TV show where fans need to vote, right? If you don't get the votes, you don't go through. Kate is just, first of all, the most amazing person.
And I just wanted to get it right. Are you and Daniela 7-time Latin ballroom champions?
Yeah, so it's 10 dance. So that means, yes, it's basically like you have 5 dances in Latin and 5 dances in ballroom style, right? So the 10 dance is when you do both styles at the same competition and you judged on all 10 dances. So it's called 10 dance champions. So you basically like, some people they do only 5 Latin dances and they compete only in that. So we used to compete also like in, we focused just on Latin later on in our career, where we competed just in those 5 dances. But 10 dance, that means it's kind of like you do, you do 5 Latin, 5 ballroom, but the scores of both are combined to decide who the champion is,
And you guys won that 7 times?
Yes, to get together 7, but we've won a couple of times before that with different partners.
That's crazy. Okay, we can just go right into it.
Yeah.
And you also competed in Blackpool.
Yes.
What is the switch like going from those competitions to Dancing with the Stars now?
It's a different world. It's completely different. It's very different from... there's so many things that are different, and I think sometimes it's very interesting to dive into it and kind of dissect. But, so for example, right, in ballroom dancing, you are dancing on the floor at the same time with many couples. You're not by yourself. So, for example, Blackpool is the most prestigious dance competition in the world. It's been running for 90-something years at this point, right? And it's kind of like Wimbledon in tennis. That's how Blackpool is for dancers, for ballroom dancers. And it's in this beautiful, gorgeous, majestic place called Winter Gardens, right? And it's huge, high ceilings, painted ceilings.
Since 1893.
I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I just know that I thought it started in the early 1900s, the Blackpool competition, but it stopped during the Second World War for a few years, and then it continued again. And you have like 3 levels, balconies and this huge floor. And the floor is so big that it can fit a lot of couples. And there we danced 25 couples on the floor at the same time. And you have 1 minute and 30 seconds, right? When you come onto the floor, you have 11 judges, and they either going to give you a mark to go to the next round or they won't. So in those minute 30 seconds, you have to stand out of 25 couples. You have to catch their eye for them to look at you. When they look at you, you have to look good at that moment. Obviously, do something really well or something very impressive. And you have a number on your back. You could be spinning around. They don't even see your number. So like at some point they catch the number, they need to write it down, and then you progress. We start with 500 couples. Then the next round is 250 couples, and it keeps cutting down in half until you reach the final, which is 6 couples. So like if you, made it to the top 6, to the finale of this prestigious competition, is you just dance 6 couples on the floor in this huge space, and it's pretty incredible.
Each round, are you guys curating a new dance?
No, so what you do is you dance the same. So you compete, you do 5 dances. So you come out and you first do your cha-cha-cha, right? 25 couples, hit 1, hit 2, hit 3 until all 500 couples did their cha-cha-cha. Then you come out and you do your samba. Then you do your rumba, paso doble, and jive. That order does not switch. After you have done your 5 dances, minute 30 each, all the scores are being calculated, and then they announce, okay, into the next round, couple number 1, 13, 26, and it keeps going on for the entire day. It starts at like 8 in the morning, and finishes usually around midnight.
And you guys have won that 7 times.
No, not that. That's Blackpool.
Oh, that's Blackpool.
We've won it once.
Wow.
And I don't even have a trophy because it's a perpetual trophy. So for the next year, you have to return it back, and they just put your name, a tag with your names and the year that you've won it.
Wow. When did you find dance? Was it from a very young age?
Yeah. So I started dancing. I was in school, maybe second grade or third grade or something like that. And we had a dance class. It's kind of like instead of physical education, that semester we had a dance class. And the teacher who was teaching us dance in that class was a ballroom teacher. And they had an after school program for like if you want to stay and you can do a little bit extra ballroom dancing. And I guess she saw some kind of potential. She came up to my brother, my older brother, who was in 7th or 8th grade at that time. And she's like, hey, look, talk to your parents, tell them that I think your little brother has good potential. Maybe he will stay for the after school program. So I stayed. I took a couple extra lessons. I competed at my first small little competition. And that was it. I kind of like, it didn't really go anywhere because I was doing everything in that time. I was doing like swim lessons, tennis, taekwondo. Like I was kind of like just an active kid. And then we kind of forgot about it because it was part of that semester. And a couple of years later, when I was 10, my mom gets a call from her friend, and she's like, my daughter does ballroom dancing. We're looking for a partner. It's very hard to find, boys who dance, and maybe Pasha will want to come and join and just check it out. We're like, okay. So I went to a class, and honestly, I just fell in love with the atmosphere, the coaches, the kids, the space, just a community. It felt so good, and I just enjoyed going there for that reason. And then later on, I kind of felt like, ooh, I'm succeeding in this. I felt good. I was being, like my coaches saw something in me, and we went to a couple of competitions and the results were decent. So I guess I kind of like found my niche. I found my something where I felt, oh, I can be good at this. It gave me like confidence, gave me purpose. So it started off as first go, to meet friends, meet girls, a community. And then later on, it became a passion.
Were your parents fully supportive of the dance from that age once they realized that you were good at it?
They were supportive because they saw how much I liked it. Because ballroom dancing is not cheap. It's, it's an expensive sport. It's an expensive hobby. And I'm from a middle class working family, and they were like, look, if this is something that you really want to do it. If you say, I don't want to do it, it's your call. Like they weren't forcing me to do it, but they kept supporting me through it because they saw how much I liked it. I feel like ballroom dancing here is, it took a different turn, became very popular because of Dancing with the Stars. Thanks to Dancing with the Stars, a lot more people learned about it. And now we live in a whole new world where ballroom dancing, which at some point was almost forgotten, it was kind of like going into the background. It was popular during Fred Astaire and Kelly times, right? Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers dancing away, dancing around, black and white films, right? And was all very popular. And then, we went into a different era, right? And new styles started to come through. And I feel like this was a rebirth that gave ballroom dancing a new life, a new breath.
It did. It made it so popular. And now I feel like this season's even had another rebirth. Being on the show a handful of times now, do you see this season have more of a spark to it than previous seasons?
I honestly, it's hard for me to judge from the inside. I think maybe the audience from the outside sees it. For me, I feel like every season has been special in its own way, but I do feel that the social media aspect of today's day and age is what giving a rebirth to the show, a new push, because now instead of just following your celebrity, right, the celebrity, your couple that you're interested in succeeding, or just want to watch how they do their progress, instead of just seeing them once a week on a screen, seeing how they improve from week to week doing their dance for a few minutes, seeing their package, you're now also following their story throughout the week. You see behind the scenes, you see them practicing, you see them sweating, you see them, just together communicating, going out for coffee, discussing things, arguing, fighting, getting injured, recovering, all of those things, So now you are engaged for the entire 3 months of the season, not just 10 days out of those 3 months. And I think that's what gave this show a new push.
Have you ever seen the movie Black Swan?
Yeah, I have.
What do you think of it as their dancing and techniques in it?
I'm going to be honest. I would need to rewatch to judge, that, because I remember the story, and I think I remember the acting more than I remember the dancing in particular, because I've only watched it once, and it's been, when did it come out? Like
more than 10 years,
15
probably.
Years ago, probably. Yeah. So honestly, I would need to rewatch before I comment on that.
Are there any dance movies that you think got dancing down to the T, got it perfectly for how it really is?
I don't think so. But at the same time, there is a movie, Take the Lead, with Antonio Banderas. Mm-hmm. And it is based on a true story. And Antonio Banderas plays the character Pierre Dulain. And Pierre Dulain, we know him personally. And I think that's a beautiful story. And what he has done for the public school system in New York, he introduced ballroom dance program for kids over there, so they can learn, boys and girls how to dance together, how to offer the hand, how to invite them for a dance, etiquette, how to just, not be shy. So I feel like that movie, I think because it's a true story, it has been super, super close to what that specific story has actually been. Yeah.
What brought you to New York? Did you go there for opportunities of dance?
No, actually, my dad has won a green card, like in the lottery.
He won it?
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be New York was the spot to go to?
No, New York was, so this is the story. So I was obsessed with dance by that point, right? I was 14 years old, and I was like, look, I don't want to leave, because I have, my friends, my dance, everything's here. And of course, my parents understood it early on that America is, like the land of opportunities. You have an opportunity to have a great future in this country, right? And they're like, look, let's see if we can, get into our research, see if we can find a partner there, figure out how the dancing is there, the studios, this, that, right? So my mom started calling around, and she found a dance studio in New York. She talked to the owner, and the owner said, look, I think I have a girl that will be right for Pasha. So we scheduled a tryout before I even got here. So I landed, it was June 5th, 2001. In the morning of June 6th, I already had my dance tryout. And my partner lived in Staten Island. And I basically... we tried out, and I ended up living with them, like in their family for the first year in America. I ended up living there because my parents, at that point, they had my aunt. She was already living here in Ohio, and they basically had some kind of roots, some kind of like to start a new life in a new country with no language, nothing, right? So
did you speak any English when you came here?
I learned it in school. So I had like a school level understanding. I could spell, I could write sentences, I could build sentences together out of words. But of course, it was very hard for my ear because it sounded very different than, so it's like it was hard to understand. And then, of course, the shy barrier, it was hard to but my parents ended up settling in Ohio right away because they had, like some kind of a
roots here in America.
Roots, yeah. But for me, I was like, hey, I need to dance. And the dancing, from what I've learned, is either New York or California, like, two states that had really, really strong ballroom dancing in them. And, now I know Utah also had it.
Now we all know Utah.
Yeah, I didn't know it back then. But I think, California, LA is more showbiz, like, industry based, and New York is more like competitive ballroom dancing, like specifically what we used to do. So I think there are a lot of studios, a lot of competition, a lot of competitions, and we're close to Europe. We would fly to Europe all the time to compete, in Blackpool, in England, in Germany, all those countries have a lot of competitions. So because of dance, I ended up moving into my partner's family, like where, they lived in Staten Island. So I lived with them for the first year that I was in America.
That's so interesting, the difference, because they say for acting, you go to New York to become an actor, but you go to LA to become a celebrity. And it seems similar to dance in that the competition. Wow. So is it normal for you to have one partner for ballroom dancing? That's why you went there? And then you guys just train, and then you go to competitions. What kind of prerequisites, how do you get into these competitions? Do you just submit yourselves?
You just submit, yeah. To go to a competition, it's open for everybody. You just submit your entry into a specific level. I mean, it's based on the age, first of all, right? So the categories are based on the age, and you juveniles, juniors, youth, under 21, and then adults, right? So you have like these age categories. So depending which age you are, 14, 15, you're in junior 2, right? If you're 16, 18, youth. Then 19, 20, 21 is under 21, and under 21, so 21 is not part of it. Once you turn 21, you go into adult category, and then everybody's already competing together.
And then is there prize money for each level? Trophies?
Ballroom dancing is not really like prize money based. So you, by competing and getting like your titles, you get a recognition in the industry. And then if you're recognized, then you just have a lot more work. You do a lot more shows, you teach a lot more, and like most of the money that competitive ballroom dancers make is through teaching.
Oh, and is that for your wedding class that you have? That's specifically more for just wedding dances, not like ballroom dancing.
Yeah, that's a specific niche where we, created a platform that is for non-dancers, because obviously 99.9% of wedding couples are non-dancers, right? So it's very easy to learn moves that are right for the occasion, that would look good in a wedding dress, in a tuxedo, would look great on pictures and videos. So it's like it was a specific package, specific lessons that are meant for wedding couples. Yeah.
My wife and I almost signed up for your class when we got married.
So why almost?
I think I probably backed out because I was like, I don't know how to do this. I can't handle it. So it's so funny when I realized that it was your guys' class. I'm like, oh my God, it was a full circle moment.
When did you guys get married?
A little over a year ago.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because we launched it. It's literally just happened 4 years. We just celebrated 4 years like a couple days ago. Yeah.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
It's very cool.
Thank you.
It's a great idea. And I think I was just overwhelmed. We ended up taking one ballroom. We took a cha-cha class together. And we both loved it. We thought it was so fun. We want to do it again. But yeah, in time. So then what brings you from New York to LA?
Dancing with the Stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you had an audition for that?
Yes.
What is the audition process like for Dancing with the Stars?
We've auditioned a couple of times, and it was very different. The last time that we auditioned, which is like when we got on the show, I auditioned in person because I was available. Daniela was on tour with Derek at that moment, so she wasn't able to be here in person. So I think she did kind of like a video submission. But specifically, this audition was 4 parts. We had to choreograph 1 ballroom and 1 Latin routine to like a kind of like a pop song, so because obviously sometimes on the show you get to choreograph to a authentic cha-cha-cha, that has, Cuban rhythms in it. And sometimes you have a pop song that has 4 beats, but it's just a popular song nowadays, right? And you choreograph to it. So we had to like choreograph 1 Latin, 1 ballroom dance to like a popular radio song.
Who's your partner for that?
I asked my friend to
Oh, you got to pick.
Yeah, I asked because you have to dance with somebody, so you can bring somebody. So I asked my friend from New York to come, and because again, I would have probably done it with Daniela, and we would have done together for her audition. But in this case, she was on the road, so I asked somebody to come and dance with me the routine that I choreographed. And so the choreography was one. Then actually, obviously, performing it two. Then we did an on-camera interview, where we sit, in front of the camera and they ask you questions, very random questions. I guess it's like just to see, how you respond, how you answer, how you're on camera, how you talk, how you look. So it was that. And the most interesting part was they gave you a non-dancer, and I got to dance with one of the girls who is right now is one of the producers who works for the special dances. When we have like the opening numbers or all of these things. Yeah, all of these things. So she's one of the people who like organizes those things. So she was asked to come into the room. She's a non-dancer, right? Never danced in her life, doesn't know a single step. And they lock you up in the room for 15 minutes with a camera on, and you have to teach them something in those 15 minutes.
And how long is that dance? Is it like a minute?
No, it's not like they don't tell you what to teach. They just like teach them something. So you have 15 minutes to teach them something, and you basically like have to, in 15 minutes, produce something.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you flew out there to do the audition here for it?
Yeah.
And how bad did you want it?
I wanted it bad, yeah. The thing is, if you would have asked me 5 years prior to that audition, I was so immersed in the competitive world. I loved it. I lived it. I loved competition, not because like specifically of winning, right? I loved competition because I loved how it challenged me, right? I read all the books, all the Zen books, like Eastern philosophy, being present in the moment and power of your mind and how to stay focused and how to perform under pressure. I love those things. And I felt like every competition was an opportunity for me to test those skills if I've gotten better at them. So I loved competing. I love strategy, like where to, like if you have 25 couples on the floor, right? Where to place yourself on the floor, right? Like
where do you?
Yeah. So for me, I did reverse psychology on the judges. So at first, people say, go into the center, make sure you're seen. And I was like, if I was already a champion, would I go and be in the center where there's gazillion couples, everybody's trying to fight for that? Or would I just be confident and go into the corner and just beautifully dance my routine in front of the audience, letting them enjoy it? So I decided to go with that strategy, like reverse psychology, right? So we went into the corner and just danced there in front of the audience, trying to dance our best, not worrying about that. And I'm like, you know what? The judges, they'll probably be interested, and they will, like, instead of like looking in this crowd in the center fighting for it, they'll probably look out and be like, who is that couple? They look pretty confident that they went there. So I did that, and I loved that. I loved figuring out all of those strategies. And that's how the first year when we competed with Daniela in Blackpool, our first Blackpool together, out of 500 couples, we went 90th, right? And then the next year, in 1 year, we jumped from 90th to 6th. So we made the final our second year dancing together in Blackpool. And then after that, we got second, and then later on we won. So, but it was like that mentality. And that's what I loved about competing, So to your question about how badly I wanted, back then I was so immersed, I didn't see the world outside of me, like outside of this. Like for me, I was like laser focused. I was eating, breathing, sleeping, everything, dance and competition, right? And then later on, when we have won what we wanted to win and we have achieved what we wanted to achieve, then I was like, okay, great. What's next?
Wow.
And then I felt like, okay, I've done this competitive side that I enjoyed so much. I felt like I somewhat conquered it, right? Like personally, like, okay, I was able to stay focused, perform under pressure, all those things. And that's when I was like, okay, now I feel like I want to express myself creatively. And that's when we started, we went on World of Dance. We started recording different project, kind of like music video type of things. That's how we actually got noticed and asked to be on World of Dance, was because
your
of
YouTube channel?
It wasn't our YouTube channel, but we did a collaboration with one of the contemporary choreographers, Lauren Adams. And we flew out here and we filmed it in Playground. And we filmed a dance to Ed Sheeran's Shape of You, and we just literally danced in our jeans, and I was in my white tank top, and we just danced, just married couple dancing with each other, sexy to this song. And like we started going outside of the sparkly rhinestone ballroom, right? Like kind of let's show what the BTS of the ballroom dancing is, how we practice. And someone noticed it and they called us and they said, would you like to do that on World of Dance? Like we want that pedestrian ballroom on our show.
Right.
Literally, they said pedestrian ballroom, like in jeans. So we went and we danced. We competed on World of Dance in jeans. I was in a white tank top and jeans, and we just danced, like together in jeans, basically.
Would you say that's your biggest advice for someone who wanted to be in the position where you are, is to just put yourself out there and do it?
100%. Because I believe that there are no straight lines to anything, like it's very hard to predict, where life is going to take you. So I feel like you just got to go out there, do it, try different things, and it will somehow, like push you in the right direction. Even if you do something that is wrong, at least now you've tried it and you know that it doesn't work. Now you have, because if you haven't tried it, right, and you think this is the right path, you just keep thinking. But you need to try, you need to make mistakes, and that mistakes and trying and like, oh, okay, well, this didn't work, so then probably let me try it this way. Like until you make mistakes, you can't possibly find the right way,
Do you think that Dancing with the Stars is one of the best creative freedoms for you to just have however you want to do your choreography and like your dream wardrobe, and you're performing in front of everybody to be taped to watch for forever?
I think Dancing with the Stars, right? So it's an amazing platform where we get to create and be and to be seen by millions of people, right? So that's amazing. But I think we need to get extra creative here, because you are limited, with certain things. But I think like usually what I believe is the more limited things are, the more creative you gotta get. So when you're just like given all the freedom and you're like, oh, well, let me just go and do it, right? Yes, it's creative freedom. But when you're being pushed into something, like into some specific borders, then I feel like you need to get even more creative. Because, for example, if you have a partner that is good at this, but not good at this, right? You have to find a way of how to make them, look good, or how to hide the things that they're not good at, or again, like for example, this week you dance in this style, right? So you got to figure out, like you do have certain limitations, right? Like of what the style is going to be, the length of the song. Obviously, we're all dancing that week to the same length of the song. Nobody's within a couple of seconds of each other. Not like one couple got 30 seconds and one couple got 2 minutes. So you do have limitations, with what your partner can do, what their background is, are they athletes who are very aware of their bodies and, like can do certain things, or are they actors who know how to perform? Are they live actors who know how to perform live, or are they film actors, who used to, takes? Are they musicians who sit in the pocket because they hear the beat very well? There is so many things, and I feel like those are the things you work with. But because of that, you need to get even more creative.
That's just so cool, because every year you guys are challenged with something completely new. And like you said, those restrictions change from like here to here to here to here. Wow. So can we talk about this season? You got partnered with Tori Spelling.
Mm-hmm.
How do you map out your choreography for her? How did you figure out how to do it week one?
Well, in general, the process is, I think it's kind of similar for like whichever partner you have. You, especially week one, is the hardest one, because at that moment you haven't really worked with your partner yet. So you really don't know what they can, what they cannot do, what they're good at, what they're not good at. So you listen to the music, you build the choreo based on what you are guessing they can do, right? And then you come into the studio and you actually see what looks good and what doesn't. So in that case, you coming in with option A, option B, option C, option D for certain moves.
Oh, so you have all these different variations.
You have to have, because if you don't have to. You can go in and be like, well, this doesn't work, and then come in the next day, but now you lost a day. So you got to be able to pivot really quick. You try this and like, well, this doesn't work. Let's try option B. Let's try option C, right? You kind of have your overall structure of the dance. Like we start with this, so we go into this, then we have this, because musically, that's where the song leads you. But within that, the moves can be changed drastically. Sometimes you have to do like a full U-turn on some move and say, well, let's stupid example, but let's say you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this turns to the right, and then literally just doesn't work, but your partner is so much better turning to the left, and then you that's a stupid little thing. Or sometimes you think you're gonna do this move that requires flexibility, but they're not flexible, so then you subtract it with something that maybe has strength instead of flexibility, as an example, right? And yeah, so you definitely, especially week one is the hardest one, because first of all, you don't know your partner yet. And then also week one performance, I think, is the most stressful one, because you don't know how they will perform under pressure.
With
right?
The lights, the crowd.
The
cameras.
Yeah, everything, right? The judges, when it's that moment, right? Some people crack under pressure, some people thrive under pressure, right? And you don't know where it's going to go. So that's the most nerve-wracking yet exciting moment.
You've had some great partners. Teresa Giudice, who's used to the cameras. Ariana Madix, who's used to all the cameras. Kate Flannery, used to all the cameras. Carol Baskin, she not really used to the cameras. For somebody like her, was there an adjustment period for her?
Honestly, no. I think she just focused on remembering the steps. That was our main thing. We just wanted to remember the steps, the choreography. And I think she was so busy and preoccupied thinking about that I think she didn't even notice the cameras were there. Sometimes it's not a bad thing. Sometimes it's not a bad thing that you're just so busy focusing on what you're doing that you don't get distracted by like you said, lights, camera, action, audience, and all those things. Yeah.
With last season, you made it all the way to the finals. Ariana Madix, did she come in with the mission to prove herself that season? Because she was coming right off the Scandival.
Yeah. I think she came with the right attitude. There was this fighting spirit inside of her. And I think, the first dance, the red revenge dress. And I think that kind of said it all, right? I'm here to make a statement. Yeah.
How do you do the freestyle with her? How do you figure out that choreography?
Well, so wanted to, step outside of the box. And I think for me, it was, okay, what is the message that we're trying to portray here? And the message is the son, obviously, right? Who runs the world? Girls. Right. So I think it was, we're trying to take what she came here with, right, with that message, with that meaning, and put her on a pedestal and say, yes, independent, strong, resilient, and I think the lyrics of the song, which was, we cleared, our team cleared that song. That's huge. You know what I mean? These songs are not easy to clear for the show, right? So we're just so lucky that we know, we got to clear the song. Ariana is a big fan of Beyonce, so it was there was so many things that worked, to get this freestyle, because I right away knew that she loved Beyonce, the meaning of the song works, and in the song, because it was this hip-hop-ish routine, and there were a couple of parts where she was the center manipulator, right? She was the dance manipulation, and people around her were reacting to what she was doing. So I think we portrayed that, her as being the leader, being this independent, strong, resilient woman. So I feel that was the main thing, and then the steps around it already grew. organically.
I think that's something most people don't realize is you guys have to get all these songs cleared for live TV.
Yeah.
Do you have to come up with different options in case you're not able to get it cleared?
Definitely, like when it's songs like this, like
when you're
when
selecting
it's
the
like
songs?
when it's like some big songs, and some artists that are like very, very hard to clear. Sometimes they take a long time. So that means by the time you get the song cleared, by the time you get the edit of the song, so now you push back of when you can start thinking about the choreo. I mean, you can think about it, but really put it on the edit, the specific edit that you're going to get. And then on top of that, what if it doesn't clear? Then you do have to have an option B, in mind. And I mean, our team has done an amazing job clearing these big songs in this past few seasons, like there were like some big songs.
With that freestyle, you have so many extra dancers there too. Are they in there during the rehearsals with you the entire time as well, just towards the end or even the last day?
So when you have extra dancers for like a freestyle, you don't really have much time with them. I don't want to lie right now because I don't remember the exact amount, but I think we probably get them for a couple of hours. At least last season, it was only a couple of hours that we had everybody in the room together.
And you were teaching them?
Yeah, when we teach the choreo. And then after that, like we see each other the next time, I believe, on camera blocking. But I mean, those dancers, they're professional dancers. So they learn it quick. It's more about not them learning it. It's more about you being able to stage it, and again, if you teach them in a studio, it's one thing. You're like, okay, you guys are going to be on the steps, or you're going to be walking down the steps, or you're going to be in the garage or the tunnel or the skybox, all those locations that we have. But you really get to try it only on stage, probably like the day before the show when we have like that rehearsal on stage with everybody.
Yeah, like you just said, it just takes time.
Yeah.
When you have 8 extra dancers now that you have to be like, okay, on this beat, do this.
Yeah.
But you guys are going to do that. Now let's get it. Wow. So impressive. So crazy.
But I do love choreographing for groups because I do love formation. I'm in general, like, I feel I have this engineer type of mind, very analytical. I love math. I love physics. I love structure. And for me, like, I love when I have a lot of dancers because I do like creating formations and switches and changes. For me, it's like a little puzzle. It's like a game,
You can see it.
Yeah, so I love that. And I don't know when this specific podcast is coming out and if it's going to be, because what I'm telling you now, I don't know if it's like...
I could hold it till after the 500th.
Yeah, because basically on the 500th, it's Daniela and I got the honor to choreograph the opening number for the 500th episode.
Wow.
And it's to the song Crazy in Love by Beyonce, which was the very first song that was used on the show. Season 1, episode 1, first dance was to this song. So again, clearing the song. We've been waiting for a while, Thank God we got the clearance. And now we got all the pros, plus some special surprises, and troupe and everybody. So we have a number with a lot of people, and it's been stressful because Daniela is still in the competition, right? So she obviously is very limited in the amount of time that she can devote to this. So she was working over hours, like after her rehearsals, we were doing this together, but it was so fun because, we have all these amazing dancers and a lot of them, so we can really play around with so many formations and structures and things. So I'm very excited. Again, if this coming out after the 500th, well, I guess people already seen it, but at this moment when we're recording this, I'm very excited for everybody to see it.
How many dancers in total are part of this?
It's 20.
Are you guys rehearsing it in the ballroom, that way everyone sees where it is?
Well, our rehearsals were in the dance studio first, where we had the full day, everybody. Well, some people who were gone or not being able to be, they had dance-ins, but majority was there. And then the next day we had a mini rehearsal, a shorter one, on stage where we actually placed it in the ballroom. Yeah,
that's cool. So you and Danielle also you did a bumper last week too. or 2 weeks ago?
Yes, last week, yeah.
Who choreographs that one?
Together, we do it together, yeah.
What kind of magic is there when the two of you choreograph together?
We really know each other's way of thinking, our taste. So it's just an easy flow process. Yeah.
Do you both listen to the song together? And then for this part, we should do this. For this part, maybe do that.
Actually, I think because our schedules right now, especially during the season, are so different, we barely see each other, honestly. Like, I don't know if Daniela slept in the past couple of weeks, the schedule is so intense. But I feel like our drives is when we listen to the songs, like when we drive from home to the studio. So like she's listening, I'm listening, then we jump on a call like, oh, like what about if we do this, and like we kind of, and then once we already get in the studio and we just put the steps, but ideas come, while we're driving, and then we just like, if I think of something or she thinks of something, we text each other so we don't forget like, ooh, that sound, let's do that.
Do you like write it on a notepad so that you guys have the beats out and what to do?
I don't. I know Daniela likes to write it out like that, but I do like to, like, for example, when we choreograph the opening, I have separate page for each formation. Like, okay, like this opening, when we're doing this, we're all staying here, and I have everybody's names where they're standing, and then I know the traffic I have with the arrows where they're going to move, and then on the next page I already have like the next formation, so I know like people, okay, we had these 4 people, they move stage left, these 4 people stage right, these people push through, and then on the next page I have my next formation drawn out, and there is an app for that.
Do you use it?
I used it last year when we choreographed the opening for the Latin night, but even it's so cool because you literally on the app you have like a formation, like dots, and you like you can do them different colors and different names and everything, and then you just press next formation and you can see how all these dots move to the next formation, and where your next formation is, which is really cool. But it took so much extra time to put it into the app. Once it's in there, it's amazing. But so right now for me, the old school pen and paper, actually pencil and paper, so I can erase and, if something is not working, rewrite it really quick. So pencil and paper is still my way to go.
So do you and Daniela choreograph this stuff at home too, or she's just really so busy she's not even there?
We choreograph at home. Most of the stuff that we choreograph is at home, yeah.
Do you have a dedicated room?
It's our dining room / living room because it's kind of like we use that space. We can sometimes travel from one to the other because they're like interconnected. Yeah.
Daniela told me that when she's figuring out her dances for Dwight Howard, sometimes you'll stand on the stairs so that she can get the height positioning correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there's some few things. I don't know. I think there's again, I think by the time this comes out, that reel is going to be out. But, for the contemporary that they just did for the Halloween one, where Dwight spins Daniela by one leg, and then he picks her up by the same leg, right? So, like...
Did you do that to her?
No. So again, I cannot do that, right, with Daniela, because, again, also at home, first of all, there's no space to spin her like that, right? Second of all, I don't know if... Even if I get the momentum going, if my height is enough for her to clear the floor, right? So, but we know that for him to finish the dance, right, holding her by one leg and her dangling, at some point, she's like, well, he has to grab me, right? Like the position of the hands. So I was like, how are we going to try it? So I took our baby's high chair, right? So it has like the 4 legs, and I was literally spinning the high chair around in the room and then figuring out how to I was like, Danny, I think it's possible if you just so yeah. She taped me doing it, how like spinning around the high chair. Yeah.
For eliminations, then, were you surprised when you got eliminated with Tori this season?
Yes, it definitely was very surprising, right? Like you, again, especially in the beginning of the season, when there is not much development yet. Later on, maybe you're already kind of like towards half of the season, you see, like how the scores, this, that, you can maybe somewhat predict or, or hope for something or whatever. But, when it's from the get-go, you didn't even get a chance to get into it yet, and right away you get chopped off.
Right.
It's very hard to like predict that, that's... Yeah, because obviously it's a combination of the scores and the voting, and you don't know how people are voting. Again, for example, if you're halfway through the season and somebody has a really, really low score, right? And they're safe. And then somebody with high scores, let's say, got out. You probably predicting then, well, clearly they probably have better voting.
The fan voting.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So that gives you an idea like, oh, if they already had few low scores and they're still passing through, probably they have some good votes. And then people, if they're like, had great scores and getting chopped off, then probably they didn't have. When you're starting, you don't have that base to even judge upon, So it's like the first elimination and boom, you're out. So you're
right.
like, okay, well, I guess, and it was like, it wasn't even the scores. The scores weren't like really that low. So clearly, you understand, oh, well, I guess there was no voting, to support it. But that's impossible to predict.
Is going to that chopping block where the eliminations happen, is that beyond stressful?
Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, it's stressful, but it's not. I feel like on this show, I'm stressed always for the celebrity, not for myself, because it's when it's time to dance, right? It's you've done this your whole life, right? For you, it's your comfort zone. So you wouldn't be stressing about yourself. But, want to make sure, again, that, under pressure, that they don't forget the steps, that they don't freak out, or, that, and everybody puts in hard work. Maybe there were a couple of celebrities, throughout the seasons that actually weren't trying. But in general, usually, right, everybody puts in hard work. Everybody's trying hard. And you do this routine gazillion times throughout the week, right? And you do it already, like, you can do it in your sleep. And then you go, and this one time when everybody's watching, you mess up. Of course, it feels really, really bad, right? And you feel for them, right? Even if it's like not my celebrity, it's our competition. You just know that it sucks, when you make a mistake, because that you've been working so hard, and you only get, it's a live show. You only get one chance, and this is when you make a mistake. You're like, this whole week of hard work is literally gone. So, so for me, I feel like I'm more stressing about the celebrity, just to make sure that they feel confident, that they feel good, that they remember the things. And then same thing about the elimination. It's like, we have to remember that us as pros, we're fortunate enough to, be on the show more than one season, right? And we do have another chance, or maybe like we've been in the, like, let's say, for example, in a different place, in a different position, in a different like placement throughout the show. But for the celebrities, is their one chance. They only get to do it once. So you really feel it for them, for me personally, than for myself, right? Because I'm like, I've done this several times. I might do this several times more. For them, it's this one time that they get. So like, this is where really the stress comes from. And this is something, again, you're completely out of control. And I think, it's one of those things where like you either just let go and like, look, I'm out of control here, and be very zen about it. But at the same time, it's the things that are out of our control that usually stress us the most, right? It's like you can't control the result. You can't control this. You've already done everything. You've already danced. You've already standing there, like you're standing on that chopping block, right? You waiting for the results. At this moment, there is nothing more you can do. You just stand there and waiting for the result. And for me, I'm stressing for the celebrity, because if they're getting chopped off, I'm like, oh, that's it. Like that was their one chance. That was their one season, and now they're out.
What about coming back into the ballroom? Do you ever get butterflies for the cameras? Like the show is back on?
I think because it's a live show, it always gives you butterflies.
Were you the same way with the competition world?
Yeah. Because again, competition world, right? It's live. Like you go out there, you get onto the dance floor and you're performing live. So it's like you have to be present, you have to be on, you have to be ready, and you have to be ready for things to go wrong, especially in the competition world when you have 25 couples, you have to figure out traffic on the floor. Somebody can bump into you, There's so many things there, you know? So like, and here again, it's a live show, and sometimes you can slip, lose the step, something wrong with the costume, or, you know, the celebrity might forget the step, and you have to figure out how to hide it, how to make sure nobody noticed it, or that they can continue. You know, sometimes they make a mistake and they can go completely blank, you know, and be literally out of the dance for a few seconds, which is very noticeable. You know, that happened before on the show.
When you and Danny are doing the competition, is there a point where you have every dance down perfectly, but you're just still rehearsing it just to make sure everything's good?
Always. The rehearsals never stop, because you can always get better.
You can always keep going.
You can always keep going. And the thing is I think this is the thing about ballroom dancing. Not ballroom dancing, in general, like competitive dancing. Or maybe ballroom dancing. In our world, competitive world, like I told you, we go to a competition, we have our set routines, right? Like cha-cha-cha, samba. You don't know which music you're going to get.
It's random.
It's random. You know it's going to be a cha-cha-cha beat, but you don't know which song you're going to get, because 25 couples all have to dance to the same song, right? So, which means you just, in the moment, you can feel the beat, you dance to that beat, but you don't know if they're going to play this or that song, right? So, that's another thing that's very different. So, when you choreograph, you don't really choreograph to specific lyrics or specific beats or whatever. You choreograph phrased. You know that this song is going to have cha-cha beat, this song is going to have quick step beat, this song is going to have jive beat, right? And the speed. But you know that in general, the structure of the song is you have 2-bar intro, then you have 4 bars, 4 bars, 4 bars, right? And like there is a structure, right? The music, the songs, they have structure, right? So you choreograph feeling, you know, like, oh, usually the song picks up at this time, like the chorus usually hits at this time. So you can like kind of predict that when you're choreographing. But the choreography that we have in ballroom dances, it's set, and you perfect it over the years. The changes in choreography are very slight, right? So you perform sometimes the same routine for 5, 6, 7 years, right? Slightly changing, slightly improving this and that, but it's more about mastering what you're doing, so that, like I said, at any second when the judge is looking at you, if you did get the attention and he's looking at you, and imagine there's 25 couples, minute 30, let's do the math, the judge has literally 2 seconds to look at you.
Are you aware when they're looking at you?
No. Like as I said, I was dancing in the corner somewhere, right?
You're always just focused on Danny.
Yeah, because there are also 11 judges, and they're standing all around the floor. You don't know who is looking at you when.
That's
right?
crazy.
So that means that for those minute and 30 seconds, you have to be amazing at any second, because if you did catch their eye, and if they are looking at you for those 2 seconds when they look at you, you better be amazing, right? Because if at that moment you caught their eye and you're not good, they're gonna look at somebody else because they don't have the time. So in those, like, that's why you keep perfecting your skills to the point that at any second when they look at you, you better look amazing. Everything, your posture, your leg action, your body action, your arm styling, your literally everything. That's why we are masters at we're masters in our style, because we keep improving the same step over and over, like drills, right? So like it's a small variety of steps, but we keep improving them. And then on this show, I feel like it's, for us again, it was a big change, because every week it's new choreo, every week it's new. So it's more about applying your skills to make it look good instantly. But now you already have obviously like years of experience, right, to do it. But it's every time it's new choreo. So I think here it's about like mostly about remembering.
So when you and Danny kept getting 90th, 6th, 2nd, 1st, did you feel that season when you won, like that was your best?
Honestly, if I look back, that was probably, for me personally, that was the best competition of my life. Yeah, like it's when all stars aligned and everything just like fell into place. And again, I was the most focused I've ever been in my life. And that's like that, you know, that presence, you know, that we're talking, like that Zen presence when you're so immersed into what you're doing that time doesn't exist. That outside circumstances don't exist. You're literally just like so immersed in what you're doing. You're so fully present in the moment that nothing bothers you. You're not thinking about the result. You're not thinking about the judges. You don't worry about the competitors, the audience. You're just like so present into what you're doing, and the time doesn't exist. The time just stops, and you feel like the now has expanded. It's like you're in a different dimension. It's like one of those experiences where you really feel like that.
Is it almost similar to how last season was with Ariana? As you guys kept going week after week after week, you're like, there's a chance we could win this mirror ball.
Yeah, there's definitely like I felt from the beginning. Again, it's one of those things where because it's a reality TV show where fans need to vote, right? If you don't get the votes, you don't go through. But based on her ability to like dance, pick up the steps and then put her own flavor into it and like act, I think she was so good with the camera. She could like really like she was really nailing all the like looks and everything. So that combination gave me right away the confidence. I was like, yes, like we can make it all the way, and then of course just hoping that you get that the audience feels the same way, fans at home feel the same way, that they support you throughout, right? But based on her skill set that she came in with, I felt confident that she can go all the way.
How cool. For you as a dancer on the show, do you prepare your life for that phone call to be asked to come back?
For us, yes. Like you
block off those 3 months.
You block off those 3 months, yeah.
And then where were you when you got that phone call to come back?
I very clearly remember my first.
Oh yeah, let's hear that.
That one. It was it was in New York. We were teaching a dance class, and we finished teaching. We went in different studios, and I remember getting the phone call from the producer, and and I remember like I was talking by myself because like Danny wasn't next to me because we went to different dance studios, and I just remember they're like, okay, we just told you, hold on, don't tell Danny because we're gonna call her separately. And then I waited, because I was like, okay, she's gonna call with them right now. And then the moment she got off, she right away called me. I was like, all right, and we were both down, so we just like met up on the street in New York. I remember that moment very clearly. Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, and Danny always wanted to live in California. She loved California, and she loves the sun, she loves the weather, right? She loves this vibe. I do too. But she always wanted to live here. And I was like, look, we're competing. We were very, very busy in New York. Like we had a lot of students, we already grew a huge community around us. And we were competing. We're traveling to Europe all the time. When I say there was a year where I think every weekend, 52 weeks, every weekend we were somewhere else in the world, right? Like it's either somewhere in America, right, because you have competitions all over, or we went to Korea, Shanghai, we went to Singapore, we went to Germany, England, like we were all over, right? And I think it was 52. I think every single weekend we were somewhere else, right? So that was the life of a dancer. And I was like, New York was the perfect spot for it. All the ballroom coaches, studios, competitions, traveling to Europe. So that was the right thing. But then once we got the call that we're in a show in 2019, that was the like, okay, you always wanted to live in California. We're not going to go there right now for one season, come back to New York and then see. No, we're like, well, this is a sign. Let's move. So we right away just packed our bags and moved. That's it.
Who's flying you guys out to all these competitions? Is it the competition itself?
Us.
You're self-funding it to cover the travel?
Yeah. Ballroom dancing, 100%, like everything was on us. We were teaching, so that the money that we make teaching or doing shows, whatever, performing, we were using that same money to, well, first of all, live, to pay our expenses, and then we were traveling to go to those competitions. So like the dresses, rhinestones, costumes, we used to rhinestone ourselves, right? Like the seamstress would do the dress, but to later on when we already got recognition, results and everything, and like we were like one of the like more recognizable couples in the ballroom world, we found sponsors, who were like would give dresses, and they would do everything for you, like rhinestone, and you wear their like label, their name on the dress. But prior to that, literally, I remember turning on TV, like either Friends or The Office or How I Met Your Mother, one of those shows, and it was like literally watching seasons in a row, because you would have it was in my ironing board, on which you would pull your shirt or the dress, whatever, and you sit there, and one rhinestone at a time, you glue it yourself, right? So, and you know how many rhinestones we have. So we used to do it all ourselves back in the day, yeah. So like all of that, buying those rhinestones, dresses, travel, everything. There was a time when I remember we traveled to Blackpool, and Blackpool is a long competition, right? It's several days long. If you're doing several styles, it's several days long. So you're there for like a week, and we had our suitcase was packed. Half the suitcase was clothes and costumes, and the other half was cup of noodles, because like we just needed to, like that's how we started like our our career. We just like we needed to eat over there. It was very expensive to eat in Europe, for a week in England. To you can't go out to restaurants all the time. It's big expense. So we would have enough money to fly there, enter the competition, and you have a week worth of cup of noodles in your suitcase, and that's what you eat.
And this is all done for the love of dance.
Just for the love of dance, yeah. Wow. Because like, I don't know. For me, it's like me personally, I was so obsessed with it, right? Like so obsessed that you live it, you breathe it, that you don't think, right? You don't think where it's going to take you, or like you're not planning it that way. Because, like if you were thinking about a 100% career that will give you stability, this and that, right? You would probably go into something that has proved to be stable, right? In our case, you don't even think that far in ahead. You just so immersed into what you're doing, dive in 100%, full speed ahead, and you don't look back. You just go for it. Yeah.
And now you guys have a family here, and you're raising Nikita here in California.
Yeah.
I saw your TikTok of being a really cool girl dad. I mean, it's true. But do you think California is a good place right now for raising Nikita here?
I mean, for me, I think like where we live, I feel like it's a safe neighborhood. It's like we further away outside from the city. We moved from a different area where when Nikita was just born, not gonna lie, we were kind of afraid to go for a walk in our area. We took a car and we drove a few miles away, to walk in a different neighborhood, because we would walk outside and it didn't feel safe. It didn't feel safe. So where we live right now, I feel like it's a safe, quiet neighborhood, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful state, that has so much to offer. You drive one way for half an hour, you're by the shore, right? And you can surf, and then you drive an hour the other way, and you have mountains where you can ski. And we love nature. We love all of those things, and we can hike, and we can drive a little bit north and go to 17-mile drive, one of the most, beautiful roads that I've been on.
I just did that last year.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Insane.
It's gorgeous, right? And then you want to go, you drive south, and you go to San Diego. It's like, I feel like this state has so much to offer, that, and I feel like we're utilizing all of it, as much as we can. So, because we do love outdoors, we do love all of these things. So I'm very happy that she's growing up here. And I think she's a real California girl, because she's eating avocados like there's no tomorrow. That girl can eat a full avocado for breakfast, like just like that.
So what else do you guys do? How do you guys find the work-life balance of dance and doing those activities?
Well, I think we almost put our life on hold for 3 months during the season, because that is the most intense, stressful time. There's really no time for anything else. But then during the tour, even though the tour is intense, but once you get into the flow of it, like once you already learn the choreo and you already like, it's part of your nature because you're repeating the same show 83 times, right? You have this first half of the day when we travel. First half of the day is to yourself, right? You wake up on the bus, you're in a new city, and then we can, as a family, we can go explore, go into a cute little coffee shop, explore a new city, do little activities before we go back into the theater and start preparing for the evening show. So that part feels, we've done it last year, we're about to do it again this year, very excited, really looking forward to it. And then it's our downtime between the tour and the season. It's our downtime where we can actually do a lot of the activities that we want, that we love doing, then now that we have the time.
Do you go back to doing any competitions at all?
No. The moment our last competition we did was February of 2019, and then after that Daniela went on tour with Derek, and then after that we got on a show, and that's it. Because I feel like if you're competing, you can possibly take like 3 months off. Like I told you, you go and you compete every week. You need to be in it. The moment you go out for 3 months, you come back, you're already behind. Like you need to be in it to win it. It's a non-stop. We don't have seasons. It's not like it's like a season. You literally compete the entire year round. There is no breaks. It's all the time. All the time something else is happening.
Is there anyone else on the show from that competition world besides the two of you?
Val.
Derek
used to compete.
Would you guys see each other at those competitions?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Mark Ballas?
Mark Ballas used to compete. Gleb used to compete. Sasha used to compete. So we used to, when I say compete, like all of us competed for many years, The only difference I feel is that all of them, they have stopped competing at a much younger age because they went much sooner in, like Sasha went and he did Burn the Floor, and then he got picked up for the show. And then Val competed until, I don't know what age, but again, like all of them, Mark, Derek, they all stopped competing at a lot younger age, and they went into the showbiz. And I think like we're the ones who competed for a long, long time, into all the way to a professional career. Like when we were actually competing among the professional category.
When you got Kate Flannery, as a fan of The Office, were you shocked?
Well, I'm driving to this podcast. I was literally on a call with her.
Really?
Yeah. Kate is, it's our, when, they say like, oh, this show, it's a family. They bring people together who you would have never met. Like, they're not lying. Like, these people become part of your life. And Kate is just, first of all, the most amazing person you'll ever meet, right? Like, the most thoughtful, caring, loving person. And then she really became part of our family, and we're always texting each other, we're always on FaceTimes, calls. She comes over, we go out to eat with her and her boyfriend Chris, and like she's in our life all the time. And I'm a huge fan of The Office, so for me that season, that's how it was. It was a reveal of the cast on Good Morning America, but before the reveal was a little bit earlier that year, so nobody started practicing yet, and nobody knew who their partner was. So during the reveal, they said, this is the cast. These are our pros. These are our celebs, but nobody knows who you're dancing with.
Oh, that's
crazy. And the night before Good Morning America, we were all at a hotel. We had a little like cocktail dinner thing where we got to meet each other. So we're all talking, as a group, like, just meeting each other.
And this is your first season, right?
First season. Yeah, first season. And we're in a hotel. I'm ironing my shirt, watching The Office. Literally ready to go for that cocktail party. Ironing my shirt, watching The Office, putting my shirt on. We go downstairs. Then he goes, Pash. That's Kate. I was like, we were shocked. I was like, literally just watch, because I know Office by heart, right? I know Office better than Kate knows, that's for sure, because I think I've seen it a gazillion times. And when I saw her, I didn't even see who else is on the cast, nothing. I was like, Danny, I really want her to be my partner. I was like, I'm just praying she's my partner. I have no idea who the cast is. I haven't met anybody else yet, but I was like, I hope. And I was like, let's manifest this. And then we do the Good Morning America. We still don't know. And only when we fly to LA and we do the first meet, when we walk through the door, you actually see who your partner is. And that's when I was like, yes.
Does production ask you like your favorite show, your favorite music, your favorite, to try and pair you up with any of these people?
At that moment, again, it was my first season. They haven't really asked.
They didn't know you that much?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe during my interview, when we had the on-camera interview, maybe they asked me about my favorite shows.
I love The Office.
And then I might have mentioned it. So I don't know. But for me, like, that was a perfect pairing, you know, my perfect first season. It was a true friendship, you know, that I think people could see and feel through the TV screen, you know. And still, you know, we go somewhere and people always like, yes, you and Kate, I remember, you know, like, because it was just like a good feel partnership that, you know, like we had. And for me, for the first season, I couldn't have asked for anything better.
I'm such a fan of that show.
Yeah.
I've befriended Brian Baumgartner. Where is he?
Yeah.
Chile. But I've done a couple of videos with him. I have his cookbook right there. He's so nice. They're all so nice.
Yeah.
So kind.
And all of them, he came to support Kate at one of the live shows. Like, a lot of them were there. And it's just so cool because Kate is like also telling me a lot of like little behind the scenes things and like little Easter eggs that then I watch back. I'm like, oh my God, it's very interesting.
If you had a dream request partner, who would it be?
For me, I always say honestly the same two things, and it's only because I just want to meet them. It's either Eminem or Lionel Messi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eminem would be insane.
Yeah.
Big fan of his music.
Yeah, I'm just love his music, and Lionel Messi is for me, you know, like I'm a huge soccer fan, so for me, like he's the GOAT, and yeah, I just like would love to just like meet him and get to know him. And who cares about dancing? I just want to meet him. Yeah,
we'll just hang.
Yeah.
Did you play soccer as a kid?
Just, you know, for fun. We even had a little thing in New York where all the ballroom dancers would go and like play in Central Park, you know, just against each other. But we didn't let anybody else outside of ballroom be involved because we cared about our legs too much. So like we played clean, no tackling, you know, just like clean, friendly games, you know, because everybody knew that these are our money makers.
Yeah. How concerned are you of injuries throughout the season?
Honestly, had injuries throughout my whole career, especially like in my teen years, you know, because you're just on a way, just throwing your body around. And then I feel I got better with like knowing my body, you know, how to warm it up better and everything. So I haven't really been struggling too much, you know, during the seasons. Tour is another completely different animal because, again, like last year we had 73 shows. Yeah.
You're also not in your bed. You're on the road.
You're on the road, yeah, and it's going nonstop. So you can't really take, like, we have 1 day off per week, right? So, like, if you injured, so you learn how to deal with it. So
and aren't you doing 2-a-days too sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's double shows, yeah. Those are really the big killers, right? The double shows are the ones where your body is really falling apart. But yeah, I think honestly, just through experience of being injured so much during our competitive years, learned how to take care of ourselves better, you know, to like more like injury prevention, I would say. So I think if you like smart with injury prevention, then, you know, if you warm up well, if you stretch well, if you connect yourself well, you know, and everything is organized before you start dancing, before you start throwing yourself around, then it's usually pretty good.
How long does it take you to stretch yourself out before dancing?
Again, honestly, on tour, our warm-up is about half an hour long. I usually take a little longer, maybe like 40 minutes, 45 minutes every day.
And is that the same thing every day?
Same thing, because again, I just learned throughout years, just learn the things that prepare me the most, you know, in the shortest amount of time. So just like learn, okay, this exercise, I feel really good after this one. I do it and I don't really feel any difference. So you just like kind of create your own little formula, what works for you. Yeah.
Does Nikita come on tour with you?
Yes.
Aw.
She was on there last year and she's going to be here this year. Yeah.
That's so cool. So she gets to see the whole country.
Yeah. And she already traveled, I don't know, last year she traveled like 60 cities and 3 countries. And yeah.
Does she have a little passport?
She does, of course, yeah. And you should see the picture. Like the first picture we took, she was like on the camera, she was like really scared. She was crying, and they're like, well, it's very cute and we're gonna print it out for you, but you cannot use that for passport. Yeah, so I have 2 passport photos. One is where she's crying and we keep it forever. It's just the cutest. She's like, and then the second one, yeah, she has her own passport.
With 2 parents who are dancers, do you think that I'm sure you want her to just be whatever she wants to be, but do you think she also has a good pathway to be a dancer?
I think so, because, okay, again, we were very open. We're like, if she's not into it, like, we're not going to force her, right? Because I'm in it because I was obsessed about it, right? I'm like, why would, somebody do something they don't want to do? But then we saw her feet, and naturally, her feet are just dancers' feet. Like, the things that we teach people to do or that we trained ourselves to do for years, she naturally is born with the feet ready for dance. And like, it's hard to explain, but when you like the way she moves them and the way she uses them when she like goes up on her toes, or the way she points, or the way she like uses her foot, you look at it as a professional dancer and you like, nobody taught her that and she does it. So you like, it would be a waste not. So I was like, we're at least gonna put her into it and see if she loves it. But again, she sees us choreographing at home, right? We dance in our living room, like we choreograph, and she sees and she sits there, watches, and then, she kind of wants to be part of it, and, we spin around with her and everything. So I feel like, again, and then she watches, us on TV, and she watches the show from the other day, and she's like, oh, mama, papa, and like, she's immersed into this experience involuntarily at the moment, but she clearly like has an inclination to go in that direction. Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars season 50.
Season 50, she's gonna be 18. Yeah. If it goes 1 season per year.
Nikita.
Yeah.
Can we fire through some fan questions?
Fan questions? Yeah.
Yeah. What was his reaction when he and Danny learned about the historic statistic of being the first married pro couple to make a Dancing with the Stars finale?
It was honestly pretty phenomenal and kind of shocking, because I'm like, there were a lot of married couples. You had Alec and Edita in the first seasons, Max and Peter, Val and Jenna, and all of them were very successful on the show, and all of them were in the finale many times and won the show, right? So you would think that at some point in 30 seasons, somebody had been there together. Yeah, but no one has. So that was, it was a little shocking. I was like, are you sure? Can you please check the stats? You sure that never happened? But yeah, it was cool. And it was just like cool to be there together. I don't know. It was a really, really, really cool experience.
Yeah, is it crazy that every single week you guys are both going home? Even every single night you're still doing it until the finale.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. And that's like, again, at that moment, Daniela last season was 3 months after giving birth, right? We had a tiny little baby at home, and again, when you're in the season, it's tough. It's very time consuming, and we were both in it the whole time. So last season was intense. I mean, very what is the word I'm looking for? Like gratifying. Yeah. Yeah. So fulfilling. Yeah. It was very fulfilling and felt amazing. It was a lot, but it was all worth it.
Is there a favorite routine with Ariana Madix?
Yes. Foxtrot. The foxtrot we did in the semifinal. It was, I love the song, and it had so many accents in it that we found in the choreography that we accented, like the drops and the whistles and everything. And I love the costume. I love the color of the costume. I love how we performed it. It was like one of those dances where everything felt right. And I mean, I love foxtrot. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm definitely like an old soul and an old school type of guy. And for me, the dances like Viennese Waltz and foxtrot, I just, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, like those times, I love it. So like foxtrot is one of my favorite styles, and that was my favorite routine for sure.
When all those stars align, like you have the perfect partner, the perfect song, the perfect dance, the lights, the camera block, it like must be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's it like being a dad And what has been your favorite moments being a dad?
Favorite moment being a dad, honestly, living out all those things the way I always imagined them. Like, you always have this picture of yourself, like being a dad, of you being this family, of having, like, we want many kids, right? We want 3 kids. And in our family, it's all boys, right? Like, I have a brother. My brother has 2 sons, right? So it's like it's a first girl in our family, and I was like, you know what, I want to be a girl dad for sure. And like, we have more kids, would love to have sons, everything, was like, I want to have a girl, at least one girl. So, and I just pictured myself being I don't know, a cool girl dad, and just like right now, although like sometimes we just like 3 of us, we just sit and we have our little blanket and we all cuddle together and we put on like some cartoon, and like these little moments that you kind of pictured yourself, as a family that you were looking forward to, and they are like that, and living them out, and they're like even much better than you pictured them. Or like, we went to a Disney World, like earlier this year, and like, just seeing her in it and being there together. It's like all these things that you always like, oh, we're gonna have a kid, cannot wait to have a kid and go with them and do this or have these moments, and we are doing them, and like actually seeing it play out the way you imagine them and even better, that's what it's all about. Like, it's amazing.
How old was she when you brought her to Disney?
It was June of this year, so she was just a little bit over a year.
Was she processing everything? And
I feel like she's a very observant kid.
Yeah.
She's a very observant kid, and I feel like the thing is, we haven't really watched much Disney with her at that point yet, so I don't think she could like relate to any characters yet, but I think she was just like in general, because just like it's a beautiful place, right? There's so much going on, so she was like the balloon she had, and all of these things, and she loved the rides, the carousels and the teacups, and like we couldn't get her off, and the Dumbo, the flying elephants, like those rides, we literally couldn't get them off. The moment she would be on it, and her face would be like very serious, and we're not sure if she likes it or not, right? She's like very serious, observant, and then the ride stops, and we're like getting out because new people need to get in, and she's like, "Rah!" like she wants to do more. We're like, okay, we get in line again, and we'll do it again. Like, she loved it. Yeah.
What is it like competing as a pro on Dancing with the Stars along with your wife?
It's very, on one hand, it's very, very like comforting because we're there for each other, right? And we have this honest opinion that we can ask somebody, like this third eye, like, look, just watch, like, this was my camera blocking, right? Like, what do you see? And like, it's not going to be, sometimes people don't want to offend you or something, right? And they will probably like, oh, that looks great. But you don't know if you'll really ever get like a really honest opinion from somebody, right? From her, like, I know 100% she's going to tell me like, well, this doesn't look good. Oh, this looks amazing. Like, a really, right? So that, and then also, just having that warmth next to you. So like, that's very comforting. At the same time, it's very stressful because I'm for sure when I'm watching Danny perform, I'm more stressed than I'm performing myself. And that has always been like that when we used to teach. When we performed ourselves, yes, it's stressful when we compete. But when we had students competing, way more stressful because you're completely out of control. They're there, you want them to succeed, you want them to do their best, but you're standing outside of the floor. And there is nothing you can do at that moment. And you're just watching them either like succeed or fail right there. You know what I mean? Like forget everything or like do amazing job, right? So you're out of control. And same thing when I'm watching like from the outside, and of course like you just want the very best for her, right? Like for them to like do amazing. And for me, I'm outside of control and I just want for everything to go perfect. So for me, that is very stressful.
Right. So that's how you're feeling now throughout the competition.
Yeah. I do my like right now, obviously we're choreographing a lot, we're performing, the openings, the bumpers and everything, but there I'm performing with my fellow pros, and again, this is something we do all the time. It's in our comfort zone, so we get that out of the way, and then I'm watching the competition and I'm like, yeah, like you're out of control, so you just stand there and you're stressing. And honestly, I feel that way for every celebrity, because like you're watching every celebrity, and as I said, I know what happens behind the closed doors. I know that a majority of them puts in the hard work and the effort, right? And it sucks when something doesn't go, the way it was planned to go. So you always stressing in that sense for everybody, like you always stress for celebrity because they're nervous, and you can feel it, and you just want to comfort. But then also when it's your wife right there, it's just like extra new level of.
So that's probably the worst when a celebrity misses a step because and they know the dance, but for some reason they just missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, that stinks. All the Dancing with the Stars pros have said Pasha is the best teacher. How does Pasha approach teaching ballroom, and what does he do differently than other pros that he thinks?
Honestly, I don't know because I don't know what everybody else is doing. I just do what I think works. But when we lived in New York, we taught, as I said, we had a lot of students, right? And we've taught everybody. We've taught everybody from kids who are like 5-6 years old to seniors, who were competing in the senior competitions, with like 65 plus, 70 plus, 75 plus, right? So we had this huge range of age, of ability, because sometimes like we would have seniors come in and they're competitive seniors and they're like, I want to do this, but I've had a knee surgery, right? Like my knees are not great, or something else, or somebody who cannot hear the music well, sometimes we were teaching college students who were doing it more like they were competing, but it was more like for fun, or you have really competitive. So I feel like we just taught such a big range that we found a way how to approach, like different ages, different abilities, different reasons why they're there, that I think that probably gave some kind of like a good background to have a variety of methods. And then now we're just trying to, I guess on a spot, you just use whatever you think is going to work for this or that celebrity.
Was that your own school there?
We didn't have like a school. It was, so in New York, meaning not like a place, not like, because in New York it's, Manhattan obviously is the central part, right? And there are already a lot of studios, so everybody is in the same studio sharing space.
So
right?
You rent out that studio space?
Yeah, you do floor fee, so everybody's on the same floor. It's huge floors, like huge, and everybody's on the same floor at the same time practicing, right? So it could be like 50 people on the floor at the same time, right, practicing. And because in ballroom, right, it's just you and your partner, so and a teacher. So it's three of you. You in this corner, you in this corner, you in the center, and everybody's like has their own little corner, and they dance there.
And then is there just one loudspeaker playing the song for
And everybody basically like just puts in a cue, and like you know that your song is gonna come up in like 3 minutes or whatever. Yeah.
Would you ever open up your school here in California, your own?
No, because that's the thing. Like I saw a lot of behind the scenes of like what it takes, to run a studio, and I admire people who do, but that's not something that I'm passionate about.
Right.
So when we were teaching, it was kind of like we had our own studio name, so when people enter the competition, they would go under our studio name and like, okay, representing Duet Dance Academy, right? Like that was the name of our
what was
school, Duet Dance Academy.
Almost like Dwight.
Yeah.
Almost like Dwight.
Yeah, Dwight Dance Academy, yeah. So we had like our own school name, and people were like registering to competitions under our school name. But almost everybody in New York did that. So like you associate yourself with this dance school, but it's not like specific in ballroom dancing, but it's not like specifically a physical location that it's like, this is the school and you go to this studio and this is it. Like it's not like that in ballroom dancing.
Got it.
It's you're just renting out the space that everybody rents out and everybody practices, a lot of couples at the same time. It is very different to dance schools, like that teach jazz, ballet, hip hop. It's a very different structure.
That feels very New Yorky.
Yeah.
After having a couple of challenging partners, how are you able to figure out your partner's strengths?
By trial and effort. You try different things and you're like, okay, this works, this doesn't work. Or I think sometimes it's to see like sometimes some keywords work, like this partner, when they think about that word, they dance better. whatever that word is. Like they think the word finish, you know, like in their head, they dance and they like finish and they start finishing their movement, you know, and you're like, okay, let's that be the keyword. Or
so are you yelling cues to them normally?
depends on the partner. Like sometimes you have to figure out, and like if they usually forget this move or this move is coming up and you come up with your own name, it doesn't have to be like a proper technical name that it is in the book, but something that they can relate to. Like, you know, they do a turn with their arms like this and we're gonna call it a ballerina, and then you're doing a move like that with the arm and you're like, oh, this like you're drawing a rainbow, so we're gonna call it a rainbow. And like if they're about to forget, you like rainbow, and they remember. Yeah, you just find your little cues. Yeah, and I think you see sometimes people mouthing out the thing is sometimes some pros count for their partners. If their partners can't really hear the music, they literally dance and they're like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And some people say cues, some people don't say anything. It depends on the partner, like how they remember the choreo. There was thing they did on Strictly Come Dancing in England where they posted what mics were picking up. So they literally scratched the whole track and they literally just did like an edit of what happens, what the mics are picking up during the performance. And it's literally just pros yelling different things, sound like counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, apple, kick, apple, orange, whatever, like random things that make sense for them, you know? They're like coming up with the names and just like a cross step, point, snap, different things that I guess they would use as keywords with their celebrities.
What is apple? Because Emma Slater was using that one as well. Is that
actually, I don't know, I just said it as a random thing, but
funny.
But let's say, you know what I mean, like let's say you have some kind of a move that will remind you of an apple, I don't know, for whatever reason, you know, and you're just like, okay, let's call this one an apple. Like
right.
It can be any word, it can be anything, as long as your celeb has a mental connection between that word and that move.
Right.
Yeah.
So what else do you have coming up? Obviously the tour. When does that start?
Tour, we start in rehearsals early December. We're rehearsing a couple of weeks in December. Then we have our Christmas break. And then we go on tour beginning of January until beginning of April. It's 3 full months.
And then are you doing any choreography for the show?
For the tour?
Yeah.
Well, so for the tour, we have our main choreographer, which is Mandy Moore. And she puts the whole show together. But within the show, you have like these little duets where we dance with one another. Like whoever is on, like for example, we have 4 boys, 4 girls, right? So I will dance a duet with Daniela. I will dance a duet with Riley. I will dance a duet with BRIT. I will dance a duet with Emma. Same goes for everybody. So everybody gets to dance that duet with everybody. Plus we have obviously big group numbers, you know, everybody or parts or whatever it is. And that process of like group stuff all happens during rehearsals in December, but the duets sometimes we already come in with like some ideas. Like for example, last year we did Argentine Tango, Daniela and I, and throughout the year, you know, we were taking some lessons just to like really dig deep into the authenticity of the dance. We took lessons with a couple from Argentina to really understand, you know, like where it came from, learn some cool steps, this and that. And
they're professional dancers,
but they specify that's the only style they do, just Argentine Tango. Like they grew up since kids in that style, and they will learn from them. So then when it comes the time to do the choreo for tour, we're like, Mandy, like for the Argentine, you know, like, and we already collaborate and we're like, okay, we have this that we learn, blah blah blah, let's do this, right? And we think about the music together that flows with the show, that makes sense with what happens in the show, and then like it's a collaborative process. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for coming by.
Of course.
This has been so cool. Thanks for opening the door and letting us know everything. And guys, vote for Daniela and Dwight. Push them through. Vote Dwight. And maybe we can do this again next season.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for coming.
This was awesome.
Lightweights out. That was so great.
Yeah.
That was so
it?
Cool. Yeah.
Was it?